Okay, hi. I can't believe I even have to make this video, but I want to explain why I am really supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. I don't think it's something that needs to be explained, but it is obviously just something that people think is like a political thing and not like just a human rights thing, which is like my first point on why I'm supporting. But if you're interested in wanting to know why I believe the things that I do and support the way that I am supporting, then let me explain to you. So like I said, my first point is I don't think Black Lives Matter should be a political movement. I think it's a human rights movement. People just deserve equality. If we're going to say that we're the greatest country on the earth and really believe in our Constitution that says all men are created equal, then we need to actually project that and make that who we are, and not just this is a left issue and this is a right issue. Everyone deserves equality. Okay, next. Saying Black Lives Matter does not mean that all lives do not matter. This one is so easy to understand, but so many people have an issue with it because they're like, well, all lives matter. And I'm like, well, if all lives mattered, why are you not pissed off that so many people are murdered? For those of you that come back and say, well, more white people are killed by the police than African Americans, well, there's more white people in the United States than African Americans. So yes, their numbers are going to be higher because there are more of them. Percentage-wise, it is more likely for an African American or Black person or person of color to be killed in an altercation with a police officer than it is for white people. There are so many white terrorists that are shooting up schools and killing people that have weapons that have been arrested peacefully, as opposed to Black people who have been mistakenly identified as being a threat and then murdered. And a lot of those police officers have walked free. If there was no video of George Floyd's murder, do you think that police officer would still be at his precinct? Answer that honestly. Next up on the list for why Black Lives Matter is so important. For those of you that say like, well, I'm not anti-police. Being pro-Black does not mean you are anti-police. That would imply that the police are inherently anti-Black. Take that in, okay? Being someone that was raised in the South, I come from such a conservative family. I have so much respect for police officers, and to say that because I support Black people means that I am anti-police is so just like ridiculous. The two thoughts are not mutually exclusive. One of the biggest issues in the whole, well, do you support Black Lives Matter and do you not support Black Lives Matter, is the thought that has been kind of instilled in us through having a two-party system. So many people think, well, because I'm a Democrat, I need to think this. And because I'm a Republican, I need to think this. That is complete bull, okay? That's the issue with the two-party system. That's why I don't think of myself as either a Democrat or Republican. I am just a good human being trying to be a better human being and understand what my fellow men are going through. That is one of the reasons that I was really pretty vocal about the LGBTQ plus movement here in Rexburg, Idaho, is because just because I believe in rights and human rights for the LGBTQ plus people, that does not mean that I appreciate my marriage and like the promises that I made when I got married in the temple any less. It is not my job for me to decide what rights another human being has. But when there's an issue with them not having rights, that's when people need to step up and fight for those people. If you want to really believe that your neighbors are equal to you, then they need to have the same rights that you have. This is probably like thought 4 or 5 or 6. I don't really remember just because I got off on a tangent. But there are so many things that can coexist and deserve the same amount of caring, okay? Like, I can care about my eternal marriage just as much as I can care about the rights of LGBTQ plus people to marry and to have children and to live their life to the fullest. I can be anti-police violence, but also be anti, like, destroying people's property and livelihood, or like preventing people from like getting to the hospital through blocking highways. Like, you can be multiple things. No one is stopping you from supporting multiple causes. If you are someone that's like, well, I'm pro police. Okay, support the police getting more training. Donate to organizations that support police officers that have been hurt in the line of duty. It's totally ridiculous to think that you cannot support multiple causes. You can donate and support organizations and sign petitions to fight for the things that you believe in. If you're really passionate about domestic violence, there are so many groups that you can join and donate to help against domestic violence, or the opioid epidemic, or sex trafficking, or getting justice for people that have been raped. Like, just, if you're concerned about all these things, support all these things. But you can also support equality for human beings and being anti-racist while being all these other things. Like, all these other issues in the United States are not stopping you from supporting causes. Like, don't just use them as a reason to be like, well, there's so many other problems in the United States. Like, why aren't we focusing on that? What are you doing to focus on all these other problems that you're mentioning? Where'd you donate? Put your money where your mouth is. Next, peaceful protesting. A lot of these protests have started out peacefully. Police violence has made them violent. And for all you people being like, well, Martin Luther King protested peacefully. Yeah, he was murdered. You want to say peaceful protest works? I'm sure as hell he probably did not want to die for a cause that should have just been like the basic standard in the United States, where we say all men are created equal. Do not use Martin Luther King Jr. to try and diminish the feelings and the thoughts of Blacks and African Americans in the United States who are rioting because they have been unheard for so long. Do not use an icon to minimize their voices and try to shut them down. I know that, like, this is so much information, and like there are so many other reasons and like things that I believe that I could just go on for days, but like, I'm tired. But you know what? I don't want to stop talking because Black people are more tired of dealing with racism than I am. I, as a white person, could have been completely silent and complacent with everything going on and could have just been like, yeah, like, this is really bad. Like, that totally sucks. What does that do to improve our country? The most patriotic thing you can do is try to change your country for the better. Like, I do not understand why people get so mad that you want to support a cause that is all about, like, equality. Like, does equality scare you? Is that something you're not prepared for? I'm just going to wrap it up because I've been here for like a hot second just trying to like compose all my thoughts. But like, if you have an issue with me supporting Black Lives Matter, please educate yourself. It is not someone else's job to educate you on why we need equality in our country. Like, it's not someone else's place to educate you on why you should be a good person and support reform for positive change in the country. Educate yourself, talk to your neighbors, love your neighbors, talk to your people that don't look like you, that don't think like you, that aren't your same religion, and just learn to be a better human and learn to be a more accepting human. And the world we'll get there and it'll be a better place. But you have to put in the legwork to understand the issues in our country and just make it a better place.